Welcome everyone to another episode of Tutorial Tuesday. It is week 46, 2019. I'm glad that you're along with us. Hey, no announcements this week, but I do want to ask you to give Cheyenne a big happy birthday from all of us, from us, her parents, to all of you out there in social media land. She turns 18 today, and I'll tell you, as a parent, man, I don't know that you sign up for this. You know, that part where your kids grow up, they turn 18, they go off to college. That's been the most challenging part of being a parent for me. But if you would, please give Cheyenne a big happy birthday social media hug. So let's get right into your questions. All right, our first question comes in from Kendall out in South Dakota. Hey, and she did it in such a creative way that I need to share this with you. So I'm going to go ahead and post that, and then we're going to answer her question. So take a look at this. Okay, let's talk about that flash first. And in particular, let's talk about the pop-up flash on the camera. The first thing that you need to know about that is it has a maximum effective range. And what I mean by that is if your subject is standing, let's say, 5 to 10 feet away, you're going to get the most use out of that flash. Any farther than that, the flash just won't have enough power to reach there. So if you take somebody and you backlight them, like the light is hitting the back of my hand here, the shadow side is right here. So if I'm standing 5 or 10 feet away from my subject, I pop up the flash, I can fill in the shadow side of their face. What I would be looking for in terms of composition with that kind of scenario would be a head and shoulders portrait like I'm standing here right now. So I hope that helps you and gives you some tips and tricks to use that flash on. But by all means, your anxiety will go down the more you use it. So have fun with that. Emily, you're the best. Thanks so much. And I know Cheyenne appreciates that too. And we sure appreciate you and your family. First, thank you for following along. It's people like you that make these Tutorial Tuesdays the best that they can be. So I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you submitting your questions because we all learn together. So on that note, talking about a camera so anybody that's followed me for a little bit of time knows what my answer is going to be here. First and foremost, the best camera that you have is the one in your hand. And what that means is if that's your phone, if that's your DSLR, if it's your point and shoot, Now, that said, what I would recommend for something like this, just for fun and just for social media, I would look at Canon's PowerShot line, so the G7, the G9, the G5. Look at those. The last thing that I'll add here for you is these are designed to be point and shoot cameras. In other words, you're not going to be going in and doing a bunch of editing on these pictures prior to posting on social media. So they're quick, they're easy, they're fun. Great question here. I did my watermark myself, and this is over a period of about, 2 or 3 weeks of really hitting it hard, trying to decide what I wanted to come up with. Now, I've spoke about this before, but my watermark used to now the evolution of my watermark, it took up, it was Chris Dickinson photography, went all the way across the bottom like that. Then I think I went to CD or something like that. And then finally, my initials down the right-hand corner. When I finally sat down and came up with what I've been using now for, I don't know, maybe 4 years or something, I knew that was it. It just felt right to me. I took it into Photoshop, masked it all out, cleaned it up, and then I exported it from Photoshop as a JPEG and then used Lightroom's watermark tool and imported that JPEG, and that's what I use 100% of the time, with the exception of my laptop. I like this question a lot because actually I think this is the first time somebody's ever asked me this, but I was at an early morning awards breakfast banquet this morning, and I always have my lens hoods on, and it's not to prevent sun. Now, I don't have my lens hoods on because there's some dramatic sun flare coming through the banquet hall. It's actually to prevent the front element of my lens from breaking because I'm up and down all the time, and more often than not. So the next time that you shoot with me and we're at a covered event together and I have my lens hoods on, now you know. Okay, how did I get started and get known and why equestrian? What I would tell you is this. I've been at this for over a decade, and every day being self-employed, you have to be out there, you have to put yourself out there to some. At the beginning of my photography journey, I joined like-minded groups that were also professional photographers because I needed to learn the business of photography as well as the technical side. So those two things went hand in hand. Now, as far as marketing and getting yourself known out there, you have to do whatever it is you do consistently. And for me, that's multiple social media platforms, that's email marketing, that's blogging. You know, for marketing, and I've said this over and over, the one thing you can't do is nothing. And if that is Facebooking, Instagram, email marketing, blogging, whatever that is, you have to be consistent about that. For printing, my export settings out of Lightroom is export, of course, to JPEG at a quality of 85 with 300 PPI. That's it. For me here, this comes down to what the client needs. Now, just previously I answered my export settings for full res, but I'll splash up on the screen here what I use for social media. Hey, Courtney, thanks for the compliment. I appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and add that picture to the next frame, and then we'll talk about it in detail, and I'll tell you exactly how I got it. So that picture was all natural light. We were chasing sunsets, and we were literally at the last, I would say, 2 minutes of light, and Cheyenne was walking uphill, and Joe and I were running behind her. So Joe and I were running up behind her, and like I said, I only had a couple minutes left, but I just put myself in such a way and had her stand there in a way that that sun would almost backlight her. You know, the last thing to talk about here is those favorite spots that you have to shoot. Now, I haven't seen anybody else shoot at that location, and I just happened to cross it when I was on a trail ride, and man, I've kept that in my back pocket. Hey guys, I'm here with my good friend Benjamin Stutman. He's the owner of Paisleys, and I'm going to let him talk a little bit about his beef jerky company. So take it away, Ben.
So we've been lucky enough to work with Chris for the last year or so, doing custom photography for us and content, phenomenal stuff. And we have an exciting announcement. I asked Chris back in June if he would be willing to join us in Las Vegas for the NFR. And we have co-booked a booth at Cowboy Christmas in the Convention Center. We will both be down there all 10 days from the 4th to the 15th. And we look forward to seeing you. So, big fans of the plugs. Thanks a lot, Chris, for all the stuff. And we'll see you guys in Vegas. We'll both post a bunch more stuff about Vegas and Cowboy Christmas. Have tons of events happening in the booth. Have different guest people that will be coming in, either from acoustical music to interviews, etc. So we have more stuff going on. And, of course, free samples of beef jerky and all the beef jerky you could want for your holiday hard-to-buy family member. So
Perfect. Ben, thank you. Look forward to it. You guys check us out down at NFR. We'll see you down there. Hey guys, this question comes in via direct message, and the poster wants to know about their shutter speeds. And I'm going to talk about two main things that your shutter speed does. Number one, your shutter speed controls the amount of time that light hits your sensor. Now, the faster that your shutter goes, the less amount of time that the light hits the sensor. And of course, the longer the shutter speed, the more light that's going to hit your sensor. But that has to be balanced by, either a small aperture or a reduced ISO setting or something like that. Now, the second thing that the shutter speed does for us is it gives us a different feel in our images. So if we have a fast shutter speed, aesthetically speaking, we're going to freeze, let's say, a cowboy with a rope in the air. And if we have a slow shutter speed, what's going to happen is that rope is going to be blurry in the air, or the motion of the rider is going to be blurry as well. Now, we step out of that comfort zone, and we talk about the shutter speed controlling the light, the amount of time that the light hits the sensor. But if you're using an off-camera flash and you're at sunset, now the shutter speed controls the ambient light. So If you want to, get in a beautiful sunset, you're going to be using something like maybe a 60th of a second balanced with that off-camera flash to get that beautiful sunset behind your subject. So those are a few things that a shutter speed does for us. I hope that helps you. Hey guys, we're going to go back to this original question first. My friend Bruce Dorn chimed in. Now, he's a Canon Explorer of Light, and that means he's an ambassador for the Canon product, and I'm going to post some images that he took with the point and shoots. Now, these first pictures Bruce took are with the point and shoot G5X, and we'll get right to the G3 after these. So remember, these are just point and shoot cameras. Now these next images are taken with Canon's PowerShot G3X. So take a look at these. All right, guys, as we're starting to wrap up this Tutorial Tuesday, I want to share with you a print pack that I got from an account named Holes and Fences. And I'm going to put the link up there. I want you to check them out right up there. And I opened this up. I haven't seen the pictures yet, but they sent me a print pack. So I presume there's some prints in here. But most importantly, what I want you to understand about this is marketing. And for those of you that ask, how do you get your clients? How do you get your customers? And the only thing that ever comes to my mind is you have to do something. Like I said earlier, you can't do nothing. So like with this is a great example of putting your product in somebody's hands. If nothing more, learn a marketing lesson from this. So let's take a look at the pictures. Sliding them out here. Hey, look at that. Nice little smiley face there. You'll notice that directly from their account as well. So let's get in here and take a look and see what we got. It's a great sticker, by the way. Oh, that's phenomenal. Hey, and here's another plug, you guys. If you don't print your work, print it. It's just not going to exist in digital land forever. So make sure to print out your images like that. Even this one right here, how about that? Pretty sweet. Here. How about this old one? That's vintage. Love that. And trains, of course. Right on. Thank you so much for sharing this, and you guys go check out Holes and Fences.